I'm telling you to stop doing this, to stop taking video,
I will stop
to stop
when I get the
taking
answers to my questions.
Pictures of everybody in the room. There is a sign at the entry.
Philippe Cannon is the spokesman for TransCanada Corp. He's in Edmundston tonight. Mr. Cannon, thank you for joining us. There are not town hall meetings, these meetings. They're in fact information sessions. What are you exactly doing here?
What we're doing here is as you said, an open house. We have two goals. One is to inform people of our intentions with this Energy East pipeline project. And the other thing is it's part of our stakeholder gathering information process where we are going to give out information, but we also expect to have feedback from the population and the communities so that we can take it in count while we continue building our project.
Why not do that in a town hall format where you have people gathered together around a scheduled meeting and there can be interchange and questions asked of company officials?
Well, there's an exchange and questions asked the company official now. What people like about this format, and this is why we chose this, one, people don't have to arrive at a certain hour, and if they're late, they miss part of the meeting. The other thing, it's a more personalized way to approach a landowner or somebody from the community that has concerns about one topic. The other thing is, as you probably know, not everybody is at ease of speaking publicly and getting up in front of an audience or a crowd and asking questions. And first and foremost, I think it gives us the chance to go more in depth with a person that has questions, let's say about environment or safety. They can have a real one-on-one exchange with a specialist from TransCanada.
I have an audio recorder. I'm willing to turn this off if you're able to sit down with me so I can ask the questions, so I can get the answers that I'm looking for.
You can get all the answers you're looking for. Shut that off, and then we can sit down and talk.
With an audio recorder, right?
No problem with the audio recorder.
It's got to compromise, I guess, right?
Okay.
You want good questions. When will residents in Edmundston and the other communities you're visiting get good answers?
Well, they get good answers when they come to visit us. We have specialists that are here and that are going to address all the questions that people have about pipelines, about our company, about this project in particular, and that's why we're here for.
Is it okay if I ask you a question?
Absolutely, go ahead.
It's about safety. The question's about safety. Now, I got some information earlier today from the engineer who's here. And the information is that every 5 kilometers of pipeline will be carrying about 150,000 barrels of oil. Does that sound about right? That was what
That's
the
an
engineer said, yeah. The question is, how many shutoff valves are there in the line? How frequently do the shutoff valves occur? Because it seems to me that if there's 150,000 barrels of oil in a 5-kilometer stretch of pipeline, then even if you had a shutoff valve every 30 kilometers, you'd have 6 times 150,000 barrels of oil coming out from a leak, even if that shutoff valve was shut off immediately. That's like immediately. So, for example, where the pipe runs right by Lake of the Woods, we would have 6 times 150,000 barrels of oil coming out into Lake of the Woods, even if that valve was shut off immediately. Is that correct? That's the question. Is that correct?
I understand your rationale. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that because the oil to move in the pipe, it needs to be pumped. So it can be. No, it's not under pressure. Natural gas is under pressure. It's compressed. Oil is pumped. It's not the same way to move the product around. Now you're assuming that not only an incident would happen, but it probably would happen in a place where we wouldn't have a shutoff valve, and it's probably downhill You mean you'd have to add up a certain amount of things for that to happen? Unfortunately, it's not the way it works. Gravity is involved in that. There's numerous factors. Risks are assessed. So, no, unfortunately, I cannot agree with the premise of your question because it's not like that.
This was information I got from the engineer here today.
So you didn't get the information from the engineer that it would leak this amount of product?
The information is 150,000 barrels of oil per 5-kilometer stretch of pipeline at any given time.
I understood that. What I'm telling you is it's unfortunately he might have given you that information, but he didn't say the rest that you're telling me. What I'm telling you is how it works.
Okay, so you're saying it's not going to leak out of the pipeline? If there's a leak, it's just going to stay in the pipe?
Based on the what I'm telling you is we're putting $12 billion in a project like this. This year, we've invested $1 billion in our safety infrastructure program, but only for pipelines. So we take this very, very seriously. It's something that we do, and we don't cut corners on security, on safety. So and the way it works, actually, I understand where you come from. I understand the rationale behind your question, saying, well, at this given time, there's this amount of product in the pipe, and if something would happen throughout X amount of kilometers, blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, it's not the way it works.
So how does it work? Where does it go if there's a leak?
Well, it would actually stay in the pipeline depending on the type of field we're looking at, depending on where the pump station is, depending on because you're saying it's a pipe rupture and everything would flow out. It doesn't work like that.
So where does it go?
I'm not. Those are all hypothetical questions, and I'm not going to go down that road.
Hypothetically, then, where would it go?
I'm not going to go down that road.
You don't have a for sure answer for us.
Do I have a for sure answer on a hypothetical question?
Well,
logically, hypothetically, do I have a logical answer to a hypothetical question?
Well, a spill,
the answer to that is
spill, you're saying, it sounds like you're saying that you're paying a lot of attention to safety issues and you are spending a lot of money to make sure there's never a spill. However, in the event of a spill, this is the question that we're asking. It is hypothetical. You may say there never will be one. I know you don't know that for sure, and that's why we're here, is to get information. I don't know for sure either. But I know what the risks are if it does happen. I know what the risks are and the price that Canadians, First Nations people especially, are going to have to pay in the event of a spill. I know that the price that they paid in the past is not acceptable to me as an ally of First Nations, and it's not acceptable to many people, Canadians.
Well, not acceptable to us either.
That's fabulous to hear. That's fabulous to hear. And so when an engineer says, we're going to put in a few more shutoff valves, but maybe that means there's going to be a shutoff valve every 30 kilometers instead of every 60 kilometers with that amount of product in the pipe, that's not acceptable to me. The risk is not acceptable to me. Thank you.
Fortunately, the lady is not. That's not the way it works, but I understand her point.
Hypothetically, I understand yours.
I felt that he was downplaying the potential for spills, and I also felt he was downplaying the risks to people along the pipeline route in the event of a spill. He wasn't able to answer the question that I asked, which was what happens in the event of a spill. He was almost suggesting that the oil would stay in the pipeline. That's never happened before. I don't know why it would happen in this event. He said that the product in the pipeline is not under pressure. I don't know how it moves across the country if it's not under pressure. Pumping stations put pressure on it to make it flow. Yeah, he didn't. I don't feel any more. I don't feel comforted by his answers. I don't think the risks are worth taking.
He asked me to turn off this camera. So, what did you think of that?
I think that when somebody in media relations for a company asks legitimate people who have vested interests in their water, the integrity of their land, the integrity of their culture, tells them to turn off their cameras and isn't interested in talking to them, that suggests to me they have something to hide. That's not acceptable to me.